How do you recharge the battery for the buggy lights? So we would have to take our buggy battery over to our neighbor, Bob Quinn. He was an English neighbor. He lived about 3 miles away. And he had a charger set up in his barn. And about once every 2 months or so, we had to take our battery over there overnight. And we'd hook it up to the charger. And then we'd come back the next day, pick up our battery out of his barn, and we would leave $3 there for him. It cost us $3. I mean, I don't know if he charged that or if we just donated it, but I know some people that had sawmills, they would have like an alternator set up that would recharge batteries for them. I worked at a sawmill once briefly where they had that going on, and they would set up their battery and it would charge throughout the day. So if you had like an engine running all day, you could set up an alternator to charge your batteries, but we did not have that going on at our farm. We rarely used an engine. When we used our big engine, it was to bale hay or it was to grind feed. We would grind feed about once a week. We would take ears of corn and we would throw them into this hammer mill grinder. And it had this stack coming off of it with two chutes for the feed. And you had this thing where you would put a gunny sack over it and clamp it in. And then you had a lever. You could flip which way the feed dispensed. So I would always have one bag because the thing to hold it in place didn't work very well, so you had to tie a twine around it. So it took a long time to undo that bag. So I would keep that one for when I was switching a bag, and I was always there. I would be covered in dust. I have some of that dust in my lungs still to this day. But I would be covered in dust, and whenever my first bag would get full, I would flip over to the one that wasn't easy to take off, and I would take the full one off real quick, put a new one on there, clamp it back on, and switch back over. And this time, about an eighth of the other bag had filled up. And then I'd take the full bag and I would stack it over in the corner by the grain bin. And then when the next bag filled up, I would do the same thing. Every 6 or 8 bags, I had to switch the bag that wasn't easy to switch. And it took me the whole period that the one bag was filling up. So one of my breaks, I had to just switch that bag and then go back and use the other bag again. By the time I got done switching the off bag, the other bag was full and I had to do another one. But I would come out of that just covered in white dust. But that was about the only time we ever used an engine around our house, was to grind feed or to bale hay in the summer. So we did not have an alternator set up to charge our batteries. Therefore, we took our batteries to an English neighbor and charged them using electricity. Thanks for the question.